Thank you all for being here. This is a sudden live stream. I didn't plan this, but like an half hour ago, I encountered a weird case. I got this news message from the media in, on my phone. When you go, when you have Google on your mobile phone or your smartphone, there's a part that shows news messages, random news messages, based on your country or the place you stay at. I'll just scroll through them. But this time I found this case that I thought, whoa, this thing is way out of hand. And the case I'm talking about is about this guy over here. Hold on, let me show it to you. So let me, hold on. It's a case of this guy over here, Bernio Verhagen, or Bernio Enzo Verhagen. Okay, and okay, let's see if I to show more images of this guy. Yes, this is the guy the case is about. He's a footballer from the Netherlands, not a professional footballer, but they claim he's a conman. So I'm going to say he's an alleged conman. Even though mainstream media is convinced he's a conman, I'm not saying he's not a conman. If he's a conman, he's a conman. It doesn't matter to me if he's black, just like I am. If he is bad news, he's bad news, straight up. No matter his ethnicity or his background. However, just like I do extra checks when there are cases of other people, the same thing I do with this guy. Because when I read about this case and I went through some of the receipts, things didn't add up. So that's why I'm paying attention to this case here. So let's see, we'll see Chuba is here, Ayanda is here. Thank you all for being here. There are not many people here, but I'm continuing right now. So let's look into this guy a little bit. But just look at the pictures. Okay, you see the green over here. You see the logo of the football club in behind. There you can see it better. You see him here, quote unquote, signing a contract. You can see him here with a fellow football player. You can see him here. Gave him the Freemason hand sign. Oh, handshake. Oh my. Red flag, Freemason, handshake. The way he's shaking hand is the way Freemasons do. Does it prove of man he's a Freemason? Well, we'll go into that later on. Another picture of him over here. I can see him playing football. But the way he's moving, as above, so below. So this picture seems like a ritual. Also, the way he's swinging. This is how Ganymedes is kind of painted often. Ganymedes is the fallen angel referred to as the Baphomet. So even this picture of him swimming the football is kind of like a ritual. All right. So enough. You know this guy exists and all of that. So you can see more pictures of him. The thing that bothers me about the case of this guy is because it's way too inconsistent. And I'm getting into it right now. But before I continue, is there anything that you have noticed about this guy? I've just introduced you to this case and I showed you some pictures. I haven't even talked in depth about the case. But is there something you've noticed that I didn't mention? So let me know in the live chat right now. I'll give you 2 minutes to answer. Okay, let me stop screen. 2 minutes. Some of you came in late. I just gave a preview to the case I'm talking about, and I asked those who were here to tell me if they noticed something I didn't mention yet. So I'm still waiting 1 minute to get answers. If I don't get answers, I'll just continue. A minute more. All right. So let's go a little bit into the case now, and you see why I'm saying this case is too inconsistent. Okay, so let's start. Let me share my screen. All right, here it is. Bernio Enzo Verhagen, born on the 30th of February 1994, is a Dutch footballer and conman who played as a forward. He is currently a free agent. Hold on a minute. He's a conman and he's a free agent? So he's not kicked out of the football world? Okay, he's a Dutch footballer, but he was born on the 3rd of February 1994 in Paramaribo, Suriname. Now, it can be that he has parents with a Dutch passport. That may explain why he has a Dutch nationality. He also, as I say, grew up in the Netherlands. But if he's born in Suriname, after Suriname became independent, that he should be Surinamese. But okay, there's one thing I think is inconsistent here also. You can explain that, but okay. Let's continue. Verhagen has been contracted with several different professional football clubs, but never played an official match for a professional team. Hold on a minute. Hold on. This is quite weird. How can you be contracted to several different professional football clubs, but you never played an official match for a professional team? I mean, if a professional football team is about to contract you, wouldn't they look into your past to see which matches you've played first? Even when there's an agent that's interceding for you, wouldn't the agent show them the receipts of your football career? So this is quite weird right over here. So let's continue. Danish police have charged Verhagen with rape, robbery, forgery, fraud, and fleeing from the police after his arrival in Viborg FF in November 2019. Since 27 November 2019, Verhagen has been remanded in custody, only interrupted by a 12-hour period as a fugitive after he managed to escape from police. How did he escape from police? In Europe, but okay. On the 24th of June 2020, Verhagen was convicted of robbery and battery, but acquitted of rape. So they dropped the rape charge. Okay, but why was he acquitted? Why was he charged for rape to begin with? Okay, now some say that his Chilean girlfriend accused him of rape. Some say no, he had a Danish girlfriend. So what is it? Was it a Danish girlfriend or a Chilean girlfriend? Okay, so when I look at the background of where this rape charge came from, it was kind of vague. He eventually dropped the rape charge, and he was sentenced to 1 year and 3 months in prison and criminal deportation from Denmark. Well, him being a Dutch citizen, they deported him to the Netherlands. On the 8th of August, he pleaded guilty to fraud and forgery. On June 14, 2021, he was arrested for fraud in Colombia. Now, hold on a minute. So the Danish courts convicted him to 1 year and 3 months in prison and criminal deportation. But when you look at it, he's been in custody since the 27th of November. So he was in custody for months. They sentenced him for 1 year and 3 months, but instead they deported him to the Netherlands. And for some reason, in the Netherlands, he was released. Why did they release him in the Netherlands? I mean, either he serves the 1 year and 3 months, and then if he was convicted to 1 year and 3 months, that means he first has to serve the sentence and then you deport him. But they suddenly deported him out of the blue, and in the Netherlands he was free. So he was charged with rape. You drop a rape charge, and you only charge him for forgery and fraud and battery and all of that, and you don't let him serve his sentence, but you deport him to the Netherlands, and the Netherlands is free. Okay, quite weird. It's a very weird situation. Now, let's continue. Verhagen briefly played, let's go to his career. Verhagen briefly played in the youth academy of the Dutch Eredivisie, the honor division of Club Willem II. That's a football club in the Netherlands, you see here. Named after William II of the Netherlands, the Dutch king. Afterwards, he was registered in 3 different amateur clubs in the Netherlands. TSC Oosterhout, VV Oosterhout, and SC de Dunen. In 2019, Verhagen signed a contract with Dynamo Auto Tiraspol in the Moldovan breakaway state of Transnistria. Okay, let's look at Transnistria. Okay, let me just go to it right here, from right in here. The Transnistria is an unrecognized country that broke away from the Republic of Moldova, as you can see here. And they have their own government, but they're not recognized by the world. Now think about it for a moment. Let me go back. Just think about it. From all the professional football clubs he could be assigned by, why did he go to Transnistria? Oh, it's quite weird. But here's the thing: you have a country that's not recognized having a professional football club. That shows you there's another contradiction apart from this, guys, that you have an unrecognized country that's a professional football club. This means that this unrecognized country is also a scam that's being run. But okay. So despite only having appeared as an amateur footballer and never having earned a professional contract, Verhagen never made his debut for the club. He left Dynamo Auto months later and moved to South African Premier Soccer League club Cape Town City. The club had received recommendations about Verhagen by a person pretending to be the acclaimed Dutch player agent Moos Sinu from the Stellar Group agency. Now hold on a minute. So you have this agent from the Stellar Group agency, which is a big agency in the football world, recommending you this guy. The first thing you do is you check who this agent is. Is he a real agent? You can check his business cards, you check his website, check everything. Then you recommend about the guy. But shouldn't it have been a bit weird that he went from the Netherlands to an unrecognized country? Okay, let's go to it again. Verhagen was only at the club for about 1 month, again without making any appearances, out of which he was signed by Chilean club Audax Italiano. So you have a Chilean club that's called Italiano. Okay, because you have a lot of Italian migrants that moved there and became Chileans. Okay, we can get that. We get that. He played no matches for Audax Italiano and was only a part of the club for about a month. He since stated that he was subject to racism by his teammates in Chile. Alessandriano has been told that they could resell Verhagen to an unspecified Chinese club for 2 million. What? Oh, whoa, hold on a minute. So we went from a Transnistrian club, Transnistria, so not even recognized for the world, so Moldova, but okay. He went from that professional club to a club as part of the Premier Soccer League of South Africa. And from there, he stayed several months. He went to Chile in South America, and the people in South America were able to make a deal for him to a Chinese club for $2 million. Why would you be willing to get a deal for $2 million with? Why are you even willing to arrange such a deal for someone who never played a match for you? Now, this is quite weird. On the 5th of no, okay, let me just start, see if I have any questions already. And by the way, if you notice something about the case that I'm showing you that I haven't mentioned, you can let me know in the live chat. And I can continue. On the 5th of November 2019, Fribourg FF presented Verhagen as the new player. So, from Chile, he went to Denmark. Fribourg's director of sports, Jesper Vetberg, described Verhagen as a lightning fast and aggressive player who will fit in well here and can cover all three attacking positions in our tactics. So the director of sports of the Danish club saw potential in him. Shortly afterwards, a club statement was issued which said that they had never seen him play before the contract was signed. But hold on a minute. If you never witnessed him playing before, in this modern day age with social media and a lot of visual media, how can someone be a professional football player and you don't have any images of seeing him play? Yet the director of the sports of the club says there's potential in him. How did this director see potential in him if he never saw him playing? Okay. On 30th November 2017, Fribourg FF announced in a press release that the club has terminated Verhagen's contract by mutual agreement and that the club had also reported him to the police. Mutual agreement. So there was an agreement together with the guy to end the contract. So then why do you report him to the police? As had happened with Cape Town City, Fribourg F had been persuaded by the ancient poets as most seen from the renowned HG Stellar Group. Furthermore, Fribourg F has been offered the prospect of selling Verhagen to a Chinese club, Hebei Elite, with a profit in a short time. Verhagen made no appearances for Fribourg FF. They say he's a Dutch citizen, has a daughter in Denmark, but the mother has custody of the child. And here it comes, the arrest that happened earlier this month in Colombia. Verhagen arrived at the city of Santa Marta, Colombia on June 11, 2021. According to police authorities, he introduced himself as a professional player for major football clubs in Europe, showing pictures where he appeared signing contracts and with team members and wearing their jerseys. Apparently, he spent the next few nights at various luxurious hotels in the city, rented yachts, and dined in exclusive restaurants without paying for any of it, taking advantage of the owner's willingness to receive his supposed endorsement. According to the police chief of the city, Verhagen made reservations via electronic payments and promised electronic payments due to his lack of cash. Hold on a minute. Anywhere you go online to make an electronic reservation, you need to give up your credit card. So you must have a registered credit card. You mean to tell me that a guy who has been convicted of fraud and forgery, that there were credit card providers offering a credit card after he had a criminal record? This is quite weird. Okay, so let's continue. He promised electronic payments. You can't promise anything when you make a reservation online. Either you have to select electronic payment. If you say electronic payment, you have to pay immediately, or you have to pay by card. So also this statement here is contradictory. He showed electronic bills to demonstrate his payments, and when they appeared as pending, he argued that they were delayed due to the fact that they were international transfers. After enjoying the service, he canceled the transactions and left. I'm sorry, but if you are saying that, that the transactions were fake, how can you cancel them? How can you cancel a fake transaction? If you claim that transactions were pending, that means that they were busy. But if he had no funds, then the card would have bounced saying you have no funds. So how can he show pending transactions and then cancel them? Doesn't add up. Verhagen was finally arrested in the beach of El Rodadero on June the 14th, 2021, when he attempted to con a number of sexual workers whom he had hired. The women demanded he paid in cash, and when he refused, the women called on people to help them stop him. Verhagen was about to be lynched when the police arrived. The police arrested him after doing a background check and discovered that he was a conman attending similar strategies in other countries. Okay, these are the sources. You can go to them. I also checked other sources myself before I came here. Now, let me go back to the StreamYards thing over here. This case is filled with inconsistencies, and I would say even impossibilities. So, is there anything else about this case that you've noticed that I haven't mentioned? I'll give you 2 minutes to answer. I'll mute my mic. I'll give you 2 minutes. Let me know. All right, I didn't get any answers. I don't. Okay, it's a new case for you. You haven't been so much aware of it. It's a recent case also. But the reason I'm mentioning this case, because I noticed many red flags about it already. And there's something I want to teach you all. When a case appears that has many red flags in them, the first thing you should do is ask yourself, why are they talking about this case? Secondly, when you notice a case with red flags, ask yourself, who are involved in the case? Who are the victims? Who are the perpetrators? Who are the bystanders? Third thing you need to ask yourself is, who benefits in this case? So first you need to ask yourself why they're even mentioning the case. Second is, who are involved in the case? And thirdly, who benefits from the case? Now, in this case, okay, let me go over here. In this case over here, there are a few people that I consider quite odd. You have this, you can say, Chilean woman also. You have this so-called Danish girlfriend of the guy, which you can't even be clear whether it's a Danish girlfriend or a Chilean girlfriend. How he ended up in South America, up in South Africa. And this man is younger than I am. He's 27 years old. Am I correct? 27? Yes, 27 years old, or 28. It's late here, it's night, but still, believers need to learn. I'm talking to you now. We need to learn that anytime a case appears that has so many inconsistencies, we need to figure out that there's some type of scam going on around here. You mean to tell me that this guy, on his own, can't all those major football football clubs by faking being this agent from stellar groups? By the way, when an agent introduces someone to you, you speak to the agent, right? Then the agent has to appear and tell you this is the guy I'm talking about. So you have to have phone calls with him. So if this guy is this conman, he could have done it on his own. Now the question is he really the conman, or is he just being used by conmen as a fall guy? I'm not saying the guy is innocent, because at some point he himself should have considered it weird that he's being shipped around from club to club like that. What I'm training you to do here, Saint, is not just believe every case we send it to you. There's one thing you need to understand about lies. Okay, I'm not talking about withholding information for practical reasons. When people lie to you, when people misuse information or they give misinformation to you, there will always be an inconsistency that will reveal that something doesn't add up. There always will be, and in this case, it's filled with it. But before I continue with this live stream, do you understand now why I decided to talk about this case? Let me know in the live chat. I'm waiting for your answer. And by the way, did any of you notice anything else within this case that I haven't covered yet? Is there anything you've noticed? Because you have discernment too. You have an intuition too. If you don't, just say you didn't. Or if you did, let me know right now. Because then we can go in on it. I'll give you 2 minutes to answer. All right. Zion said his friends, family friends are not mentioned. Only thing came up to his mind is why he didn't set him up. That's what Mark said. The thing is, as I already told you before, it's impossible for anyone to just apply for a job at a professional football club and it will be accepted. Even if you're a very good football player, you have to be recommended. The football world is a very small world. It's a small world with strict regulations. You only want the best football players with years of experience. So you need to tell me that some con artist presented this guy to you, and you guys didn't do a background check, we just signed contract with him, and this happened over and over again. And this guy even told that he was discriminated against at some of those places. So this brings me to the following. If he's being set up like this, that means that people are in on it. When he arrived in Denmark, one of the leaders, one of the top men of the Danish football club that hired him, said there was potential for him. How can you see potential in someone who never played a match before, a professional match? And how can you? And later, after they signed him, suddenly the football club says, "We never saw him play before." If you never saw him play before, why did you sign a contract with them and openly stated that there's potential in it? And the thing is, where are the relatives and friends of this man? Does he grew up in the Netherlands? Does he have people that went to school with him? Does he have people that used to play with him in the clubs in the Netherlands? Doesn't he have relatives or at least some folks that may say, hold on a minute, this is not true, or whatever? That's another red flag that I didn't mention, but Dion mentioned here. You mean to tell me that throughout his career, that within a year, he was signed at 3 different professional football clubs, one in Eastern Europe, one in South Africa, and one in South America? Are you going to tell me that none of his relatives were telling him, none of them were telling Bernio, are you sure about this? I think you're being set up here. You mean to tell me that none of the people around him could have reached out to him? So either his friends and family are in on it, or they're just cowards that they don't want to reach out. Look, I'm not here to speculate. I'm just looking at the receipts here. Look, nobody can con so many professional organizations. And remember, those professional organizations are often run by Freemasons or people involved in the occult. So they all have their paranormal covers to cover their. You mean to tell me this guy is able to break through all those paranormal covers and he's not even serving Christ? And here's another thing. How can you call him a con man, but you don't deal with the so-called agent that presented him? Why did you share anything about the agent? You can't tell me this guy on his own played both the agent and himself. Look, if I switch jobs 3 times in a year, and I apply, and someone, a recruiter, suggests me to another job, first thing he's going to ask is, why did you switch jobs 3 times in a year? That is the first thing he would do, and they likely are already demotivated in hiring me. Because I think if you have to switch jobs 3 times in a year, that means there's something is not right about you or something is haunting you. I mean, this guy switched between 3 professional football clubs, And that Danish football club, they didn't see that as a red flag, just hired him, only to break up later. Nah, Saints, it's very simple. When they want to distract the masses, they will set someone up as a bad guy just so the public will focus on the bad guy. That's what they will do. I'm not saying that that I have 100% proof that this guy is not a conman. That's why I said alleged conman in my YouTube title. The media says it's a conman, Wikipedia also, but when I look at the receipts they're offering and the proof that they're offering, too much doesn't add up. Also, that he was sentenced in Denmark, but instead of serving a sentence, he was brought to the Netherlands. Why did they shorten his sentence? Why did they do that? Oh, man. And think about another thing. He's a black man. So if he sexually assaulted a white woman in Denmark, a very feminist country, you seriously think he would get such a low sentence? And they later would even remove would acquit him from the rape charge? Also, that doesn't add up. Look, people, there comes a point in your life that you need to begin to realize that the world around you is based on deception. And that means that when you encounter cases like this that are highlighted, ask yourself, why are they highlighted? I already told you, this case is a distraction. Second thing is, who is involved in it? Well, you have the professional football clubs, you have the guy who's blamed to be a conman himself, you have the so-called agents that they don't even talk about anymore. Of course, you have mainstream media. But why is it that barely nobody wants to talk about the case? There is this Dutch researcher who has his own blog, and he went after the case multiple times, and people just refuse to talk to him. So you have this case about this guy who transferred from multiple football clubs within a very short period of time, and now journalists want to figure out what goes on, nobody wants to talk about it. If he's a con man, why can't you just say, oh, he was a con man, he conned all of us? Why don't you just say that? Or just, what's going on? If you go to a hospital and you never completed your medical studies, you never even performed surgery, but you're hired as a surgeon. Everyone's going, let's say you hear about a guy who is a fake surgeon and he was hired by 3 hospitals as a surgeon, and they never had any proof of him performing surgery before. And one of those hospitals even praised him for being an excellent surgeon. And later you figure out, oh, he never even finished medical school. That would be a very big drama. That would be big news, and that would be something that the media will be all on it. Now you have a professional football player that you hire at a professional club. I'd say 1, 2, 3, 4 times, and he never played a professional game before. Saints, I theorize. I'm not saying I'm correct. I'm theorizing that this guy is being set up, and he at some point figured out he was being set up, but he got along with it instead of getting out. Now, if he did that, then that's on him, but I can't prove that. But I surely will not buy the story of the media that he did all of this on his own. Impossible. Well, that's really all there is about this case. It's not really that much. But have you ever encountered similar cases, not related to football? Have you ever encountered a similar case of something that was reported, but you get the feeling that the story it is presented doesn't add up, let me know in the live chat. Let me know in the live chat, please. Mm-hmm. Daniel said, no, what about the rest? I've ever encountered a case that was presented to you. But when you hear the case, you realize this cannot add up. Joe said no. What about Marky Mark? Have you ever had such a case presented to you of which you realize, there are way too many red flags in this case? What about you, Chuba? Let me know. And this is why it's important to observe and not just to see. Too many people only see and hear, but they don't observe. Me, when I heard about this case, I observed the case. By the way, this is not a cold case. This is just a recent thing. Anytime you hear a report or a story, take a step back and reflect on what has been presented to you. The moment you notice any inconsistency in the story or in the report, then that means that something's being hidden. And why is it good to be aware of these things? It's good to be aware of these things because those are the tricks they will try to use on you too when they want to set you up. So if you're ever in a situation where either things are happening way too swiftly, let's say you just started working at the post office a week ago, just transporting boxes, and within a week you're asked to become the manager of the local post office. You would think, okay, I just arrived here just transporting boxes, which I have to work, and just within a week, without me having any experience in the post office, you want to appoint me as a manager? What? You would think this is quite weird. Now, that example I just gave is a very extreme one, okay? But if you're in a situation where things are moving too quickly and too swiftly, realize that it's a setup. Or if you're in a place where people have a lot of suspicion about something, pay attention to that. And another thing, when a wild accusation comes up and suddenly it disappears, then you know that wild accusation was just a distraction. If someone has been accused of rape, for example, and within a few weeks the rape accusations disappear completely, nobody talks about it anymore, then you know that it was a distraction just to put someone in the negative daylight. I had to make this live stream just to use this current case as an example to you. Always observe the reports and stories that you encounter. Observe them. Don't just listen to them and take sides. Don't just listen to them and be emotionally affected. Observe them. Where does the story or report come from? Who set it up? What is the content of the story or report? What's the context in which the report was made or the story was told to you? Who are invested in the story? Who are invested? Ask all those questions. And that's the issue with the masses. They seldom ask critical questions. And because the masses don't ask critical questions, people are set up every day right in front of them and they do nothing about it because they don't even want to admit that people are being set up. Or if they are the ones being set up, if they are the target, they are likely to be victimized easily because they never observe things. Learn to observe the reports and stories that you encounter. Don't just accept them at face value. That's the worst thing you can do. Because if you just accept things as face value, then demons can easily trick you into anything. And that's the issue with many believers these days, that they are tricked into almost anything because they take things as face value. Examine things, like prove all things or test all things. Good. I don't have much more to say about this case, so I'm going to give you the time to ask questions now relating to this case or to this subject. If you have questions, please let me know in the live chat, please. Thank you very much. Hello, Tina. You can answer questions now. I'll wait for 2 minutes, and if there are no questions, I will shut down the live stream. Okay, Joe asked, if you realize, then just straight up leave, what would happen? Okay, so you mean to ask Joe, let's say you realize that you're being set up and you just leave the situation. Now, if you just leave the situation, you've done the right thing, you're out of danger. Well, what happened is that people try to bring you back or they try to accuse you of something. But this is the number one thing I want you to understand. If you get the feeling that you're being set up, don't ignore that. Check it out. And if you have the receipts that you're likely to be being set up, get out. If you have the feeling that you're being set up, take a step back. And if you later get the receipts you're being set up, just leave. As long as you are in safety, that is what matters. Too many people ignore the first signal. That means they're in a radar that hints to them that something is off. And that's why they end up in very bad situations. Mm-hmm. Any more questions? Let me know in the live chat, please. Look, there's a difference between condemning and judging. Condemning simply means that you discard something as useless based on your expectations. That's condemning. We shouldn't condemn, but we should judge. Look, if someone just had a car accident, then we can judge based on the fact that the individual needs to recover. You can't expect an individual to come to work the next day if you just had a car accident yesterday. That's not how it works. So sound judgment is fine. Taking things as face value, as they present it to you, is a very dangerous thing. Any more questions or remarks? Let me know. Thank you well, Suzanne. Say bless you too. And by the way, if you notice someone else is being set up, you don't always have to just openly warn individual, but to give hints that something may not add up. So if you notice someone's being set up, you may ask questions saying, okay, you have this new deal that's presented to you. Don't you think it's a bit too fast? Or you can ask them, did they see you, what did they tell you? What are they offering you? And you think it's a bit high, the salary they're offering you for that job or whatever. So you can just give hints to someone that something may not add up. It's up to them to listen to you, but at least give hints. You don't only have to say, I think this is a setup. Just let them just ask constructive questions or hint to them that you think that something is not right here. You can do that. It's very easy. If you notice that the public around you is being set up, do the same thing. But if it's the public, realize that when people have no interest in seeing it, then shake the dust off your feet. Because that means that they're likely to turn on you when it's proven that they are being set up. Okay. And then let's see if any other questions. This live stream took less than an hour. So I'm going to close it down now. Thank you for being here. And remember, always agree with Christ. Be at peace.